So we're up to Mishna Vav, and Yoshua ben Prachia v'Nitai Ha'arbeli Kiblu Mehem. So they were the next pair in the Masorah. Yoshua ben Prachia Omer Asei lecha Rav Uknei lecha Chaver v'Havedanas Kol Adam l'Kav Schus. So a person should make for himself a teacher, acquire for himself a friend, and thirdly, judge everyone favorably. So all three of these are very rich ideas. The first, asei lecha Rav, it's very conspicuous that the verb changes from asei lecha Rav to knei lecha chaver, and to me, it's possible that we're reading into it, but to me, I think there is a conspicuous difference, and that is that what they're using by the word knei lecha chaver is not to think about buying a friend in the sense of like an acquisition or a transaction or a purchase, but if you think about acquiring a friendship by giving and getting, that knei, it could refer to acquisition, but knei means to enter into a relationship where there's a give and a take. When you buy something, you pay and you get something. And really, in every friendship, there has to be this reciprocal relationship where each one is giving and getting. And if you're in a relationship where you're only getting or only giving, you know that this is not really going to be a friendship that's going to sustain. There are certain relationships that are like that, maybe like parents or whatever, but not friendships. And therefore, the knei lecha chaver, I think, is very specific. And by contrast, asei lecha Rav is saying that the Rav relationship is not quite as reciprocal, but there's really like a Rav who's the teacher and the student who's learning from the teacher. And of course, teachers learn from their students and could be enriched by their students and gain certain things from that relationship. But we don't see it in that way. If you're learning from someone, but you're not really giving to them, that could be a functional relationship. And I think it can go even further, that asei lecha Rav, we usually think about asei lecha Rav as, this is my Rav, and I go to his lessons and I learn from him in his classes, etc. But a Rav could be someone who is a role model. A Rav could be someone who teaches us something. Even, I think it can go a little extreme, but the Rav could be a Rav without even realizing that he is the Rav. He might not know that he's a Rav. That you might find someone who you learn from, you watch their behaviors, and you could learn from them. So that's a Rav. That's a teacher. And therefore, it's really not a reciprocal relationship. I mean, nowadays we think about, a lot of people have online teachers who the teachers don't know who's listening to them because they post you online, and people could be like your Talmud Mufak, that you're always learning from this Rav, but the Rav doesn't even know that such a student exists. But also just in terms of behaviors. I mean, the Mishna says in Pirkei Avos also that if you learn even one thing from a person, you should give that person respect because they're like a teacher. So Rav doesn't need to mean like your main instructor. It could mean someone who we have what to learn from, and we make that person. We choose to learn from that person, and then we do learn from that person, but not in the same way as a chaver, which is a kinyan, which is a mutual relationship. You can't have a friend who, you watch online and you think you're friends, but you don't actually have a friendship. You don't have a relationship. So the chaver has to be knei, whereas the Rav is asei. I think also it's very specific that the Mishnah says asei lecha Rav, where usually a Rav is someone who sort of tells you what to do or answers your questions. But here the subject is asei lecha Rav. You establish a Rav, like you hire your Rav, or you choose who you're going to learn from. Once you choose a Rav, maybe you should sort of follow their instructions, but then the Mishnah is really saying that you have to make the choice and determine who you can learn from. You don't say, like imagine in Israel, where it's like, whatever the Rav of the city that you live in says, he is the one who has authority over your halakhic decisions. But here the Mishnah is saying, it's not quite like that. You have to choose who you can learn from. And that's a personal choice. The third teaching of the Mishnah, so there's the Rav and the Chaver, and then the third teaching of the Mishnah is that we should judge all people favorably. And to me, this teaching is related to the previous two, in the sense that, maybe the Rav will teach you to be Dan L'Chavschos, but I really think it's really the opposite. That it's only if you can judge people favorably that ultimately you can have a relationship such as a Rav or a Chaver. Because if we're too judgmental of people, then no one's really worthy of being a Rav, because no one's perfect, and eventually you'll see the flaws in all people. So how do we learn from anybody? And the answer is that we're Dan L'Chavschos, that we judge them favorably and forgive their imperfections. And if we can do that, then we can really respect people. We can really respect everybody. If you're not Dan L'Chavschos, it's really hard to respect anybody. But if you are Dan L'Chavschos, then we always give people the benefit of the doubt and understand that no one can be perfect, but everyone's trying their best. So then there's a lot of people that we can learn from. And we have to just learn from the good things that they do and not the things that are mistakes by being Dan L'Chavschos, and therefore seeing the good and then emulating the good that we see. And the same thing is true of a Chaver also, that when we make a friendship, we're making a decision that this is someone who we could be friends with, and a friend is someone that we hope will inspire us to grow and be better people. So therefore, the Dan L'Chavschos is really necessary also to be a Chaver, to find a Chaver. Okay, the next Mishnah is a little bit less forgiving of others, and says Nitai Ha'arbeli, says Harcheik Mishachin Ra v'al titchaber l'rasha. So here there are two teachings about staying away from bad people. I guess if you failed to be able to be Dan L'Chavschos and the person is really bad, so distance oneself from Shachin Ra, meaning your Shachin is not necessarily your friends, but your Shachin also, your neighbor also has an impact on us, and therefore avoid having bad neighbors or neighbors that influence us badly. And don't make friendships and don't attach ourselves to people who are not too good. And thirdly, al tityaesh min apuranus. Don't give up hope, al tityaesh min apuranus, because of divine retribution, punishments that God gives. Here, the Mefarshim suggest two different interpretations of al tityaesh min apuranus. Some say what it means is you think that we're doomed because we have so many punishments coming to us, so don't give up. It's going to be okay. Al tityaesh min apuranus. Don't give up because of that. And then the inverse, it could also be the interpretation that we see so many people out there who are Ra and Rishayim and don't get any punishment, and then we give up hope that God doesn't really come through on his punishments. So Al tityaesh min apuranus, don't give up hope. Hashem is going to take care of everything. I think the basic point of this last teaching of the Mishnah is that we definitely believe that there's going to be justice and reward and punishment, and we definitely know that we often don't see it. Don't overthink that. Trust that it's there, but just try to stay on track to do the right things and not to worry about God's business of His justice, because He'll take care of that.